delegation status. Since the announcement of the plan, we've received warm responses from different sectors. There are also concrete initiatives suggested. In relation to livelihood issues, the plan suggests that there should be enhanced cooperation on different areas. Facilitation measures of Hong Kong people to work and pursue career in China will be put in place. Mr. Xi Jinping, the chairman, in July 2017, made an important speech. He said that facilitation measures to enable Hong Kong people to live and work as well as study on the mainland should be made. There will be more opportunities given to Hong Kong people to develop their career in mainland China. There will be more facilitation measures. In relation to the building of the GBA, the Greater Bay Area, according to plan, there are a number of key bright areas. That includes the coordinated development of industries, academia, and research institutes, as well as the development of the Macau, the Hong Kong Loop, facilitation of flows of people, goods, and vehicle, mutual recognition of professional qualifications, the building of niche plans. After the announcement of the plan, it's been said that the plan is priceless. I'm sure that you will all agree that the 14th five-year plan will bring endless rejuvenation and energy into Hong Kong. The formulation of the 14th five-year plan has given me fresh experience. Hong Kong's development should be closely integrated with that of our country. We should leverage ourselves on our country and face the world. With the unswerving support of the central authorities, we will be able to do more. Since 2019, we have started our work and we have elevated ourselves into a couple of chapters of the 14th five-year plan. Our proposals has been accepted. That is in relation to the development into a hub for arts and cultural exchanges. This shows that the central authorities do care a lot about Hong Kong. I'd like to thank the NDRC, the Hong Kong and Macau office, as well as various commissions and ministries. Hong Kong has been incorporated into the 14th five-year plan as well as the 13th five-year plan. With good planning, we need good execution. I'm very confident that all these initiatives will be implemented. That's because in the past year or so, with the support of the central authorities, Hong Kong's overall situation has finally achieved positive progress. At the end of June last year, the NPC promulgated the National Security Law. It's annexed into the Basic Law and it comes into effect in Hong Kong. The National Security Law is the cornerstone to achieve stability. It is also an important part for the implementation of one country, two systems. In March this year, the NPCSC has endorsed the amended Annexes 1 and 3. We have finally implemented patriots administering Hong Kong. This has brought Hong Kong back to the right track. With the complementary cooperation of the executive as well as the legislature, we will be able to scale new heights. Using this terms of LegCo as an example, in just 3 months, we have endorsed 4 members' motion that support our development. That includes using a port development to support economic development, to seize opportunities given to us by our country to make new achievements. We need to seize the opportunities given to us. We also have to leverage on our unique advantage in the Greater Bay Area. We are also included in Chapter 18, that is a part about implementation of one country, two system. We need to be aware that we need to maintain our competitiveness, and we need to achieve prosperity and stability. This is in line with the high degree of autonomy Hong Kong people administering Hong Kong and one country, two systems. We will implement the overall jurisdiction of the central authorities over Hong Kong. We will integrate our development into that of the country. We have to ward off external forces in interfering in Hong Kong's affairs. We do need to strengthen education of basic law as well as of the PRC Constitution. We also have to enhance a sense of belonging. In relation to this, we have a huge responsibility, but I appeal to different sectors of our society to work towards it. Lastly, I would like to welcome the arrival of the delegation as well as the attendance of guests. I hope that the various activities they undertake will be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Please return to the seat.
接下来有请香港中联办主任。
Next, may I invite Mr. Luo Huining, Director of the Liaison Office of the CPG, to deliver the opening remarks. Mrs. Carrie Lam, Chief Executive, the delegation, members of the delegation, colleagues in the Hong Kong SAR government, good morning. Today, the 14th five-year plan delegation has come to Hong Kong to give a briefing and to show our strong support for Hong Kong. And I'd like to take this opportunity to share my three observations. First, we need to be aware of the national plan in charting Hong Kong's development forward. There are a number of key requirements in terms of national development plan. For the first time, there is a detailed explanation on socio-economic and political development requirements. In order to give strategic consideration to maintaining Hong Kong's long-term prosperity and stability. Our country has just started the second centennial new journey, and we're now at a crucial turning point. Hong Kong's development has entered a new stage, and Hong Kong must have a thorough understanding of the new development concept of the country so that we can build a new and comprehensive development pattern. Second, integrate into the overall development of the country. This would not only enhance our competitive advantages, It is also because Hong Kong has built itself as an international financial center, an aviation hub, and a global offshore renminbi business hub because of its connection with the mainland and also the favorable business and investment environment. Around the world, for the spirit of rejuvenating the great Chinese nation, this is the trend that cannot be stopped. For Hong Kong, the greatest opportunity of development lies with the mainland. With implementation of the 14th five-year plan and also the long-range objectives until 2035, we are given endless opportunities, and Hong Kong must grasp these opportunities. We firmly believe that in order to integrate into the overall development of the country, and as long as Hong Kong is able to do so, Hong Kong will continue to scale new heights. Third, to make good use of the country's policy support in furthering Hong Kong's development. Development is the everlasting theme. Over the past year or so, Hong Kong has restored order from chaos, and it is necessary to protect Hong Kong citizens' well-being in order to maintain long-term prosperity and stability, which will also allow the principle of one country, two systems to sail smooth and steady. In terms of improving people's livelihood, the 14th five-year plan provides the new positioning of Hong Kong and provides policy support. It is time for Hong Kong to take action. Competition is keen. We will be phased out if we don't move forward. And we must strive hard for our future. Finally, may I wish this delegation briefing every success. Thank you, Mr. Luo. Please return to the seat. Now, Mr. Ning Jizhe, Deputy Director of NDRC, will now give a speech. Mrs. Carrie Lam, Mr. Luo Weining, Mr. Huang Liuquan, Hong Kong citizens, good morning. I'm delighted to be able to take part in the briefing session on the 14th five-year plan in Hong Kong via the online video link. First of all, may I congratulate the success of the briefing session. The NDRC attaches great importance to this event, and we have 4 colleagues from the NDRC, including Mr. Hu Zhaohui, coming to Hong Kong to have a face-to-face exchange with colleagues in Hong Kong. That shows the importance we attach to the event. Hong Kong has all along been playing a unique and important role in the country's development. Hong Kong is an important trading and business partner. It also forms an important connection with the global arena, and it is also an important financing channel for the mainland. It also forms an important belt of exchange between mainland and the world. Hong Kong also provides strong support and good demonstration for China's opening up and also deepening reform. Hong Kong has always been keen in providing disaster relief and reconstruction. At the same time, leveraging on the mainland as a hinterland, Hong Kong explore opportunities of collaboration with the mainland in tapping overseas market and complementing the strengths of each other, so as to ride on the prospect of development. Hong Kong also takes part in the Belt and Road Initiative and construction of the Greater Bay Area. There are also facilitation measures to allow Hong Kong people to work and live in the Greater Bay Area. Hong Kong helps the mainland in building this stage. Over the past 2 years, because of the anti-extradition bill incident and the COVID-19 pandemic, Hong Kong experienced difficult times. With implementation of the national security law and improvement to Hong Kong's electoral system, order has been restored from chaos. In the first half of this year, the economic performance of Hong Kong has been very good. The GDP growth reached 7.6% in the first quarter of this year, comparing to the same period last year. With the strong policy support in the second half of this year, the economy in Hong Kong will continue to recover. In March, the 14th five-year plan was passed by the National People's Congress, and 14th five-year plan provides a comprehensive action agenda on fully building the mainstay, complemented by the dual circulation It also provides in the mainland, so that it also provides that at the same time will enhance the competitive advantage. Stronger support Hong Kong. We believe that financial services, international trade, innovation for furthering development. On the 1st of July, made an important speech in celebration of once again, he emphasized this is an unwavering principle. It also provides the NDRC will and office steering the development of the Greater Bay Area will continue of Greater Bay Area as well as the Belt and Road Initiative. For Hong Kong, we hope that Hong Kong will be more proactive in facilitating the dual circulation strategy of the country. Operate into the new development pattern. Finally,
Thank you, Mr. Ning. Director, Mr. Ning. In May this year, the Chief wrote a letter to Mr. Xia Baolong, the director, explaining to the central operation into the 14th five-year plan. We have sent a delegation to Hong Kong, including now better development can be delegation. I thank the invitation. Greetings to you all. In March, and endorsed the 14th China and the long-range objectives through the year 2035. Also set out the key areas of work of the government. Important blueprint to achieve a modern socialist economy. We will elevate the national development. The 14th five-year plan enhancement of social security, arts, education, system as well as the rule that the Chinese Communist Party it is a people-oriented development plan. The China dream of rejuvenation includes has all along been attached to Hong Kong's economic development as well. The 14th Five-Year Plan has a standing goal, intellectual property, culture. There are various platforms for these opportunities given by the central authorities for Hong Kong to further facilitate Hong Kong people to develop their career and using the Greater Bay Area, such as facilitation measures being launched. The have a better future, just like our nation. Mainland to get a better life. The 14th officials of the government will be able to advantage of Hong Kong to a good life. The 14th Five-Year Plan measures of market policies anniversary of the promulgation of the national security law. Correctly implement the one country, two systems. They should be able to effectively with the promulgation of the national security law. Responsibility to restore stability in Hong Kong. We now see stability in this that under the leadership of Mrs. Carrie Lam, to leverage on the advantage of the one country, two systems, and development. I believe that Mr. Xia Baolong, Hong Kong people will be able to share the fruit of prosperity and the glory like the mainland citizens. Thank you. We'll now ask Mr. Hu Tiaofei, the Deputy Chief of a department in the NDRC. He's head of the Development and Strategy Planning. Mrs. Carrie Lam, Mr. Luo, Mr. Huang, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm honored to come to beautiful Hong Kong to attend this session, a briefing session, to share with you information of the 14th Five-Year Plan. Using mid and long-term planning to promote development has always been an important approach by the central authorities. The major function of planning development is to coordinate all the different efforts, to set out clear objectives in order to promote coordinated efforts. This is to achieve stability and prosperity while taking the country towards modernization. Since 1953, we have seen 13th Five-Year Plan. On the 11th of March this year, the 13th NPC, in their fourth session, endorsed the outline of the 14th Five-Year Plan for national economic and social development of the PRC and the long-range objectives through the year 2035. This is commonly known as the 14th Five-Year Plan. It has clearly set out the major objectives of development. It sets out the plan for the coming 5 years. It is our great blueprint. My presentation will cover 3 areas. I will explain to you the different major strategic considerations of the 14th. First, the major development basis and major objectives. That was the objectives of becoming a moderately affluent. We have scaled new heights in our economic development. To 101.6 trillion yuan in 5% in 2015 is now increased to 17.4%. Added value of manufacturing industry is the first in the to 54.5% in 2020. Permanent population also achieved success in poverty alleviation. 55.7% significant progress. We have contributed in the 13th Five-Year Plan. Since the 13th, our level of spending has exceeded has reached the top of the world. We have made great increasing effort. Under the 13th plan, livelihood and living standard has been income per capita has reached 32,000 yuan. Has also been increased. Last year, we have seen this. We are the first country to resume economic activities and to turn our economic growth to a positive one. Last year, our GDP growth has reached 2.3%, which is the only major economy that has realized a positive growth. All in all, over many years of development, we have built a robust foundation. We have abundant resources. We have the most comprehensive and the one with the largest scale in industrial system. We have over 140 million market entities. We have 170 million people with higher education or professional skills. We have over 400 million people who are in the middle income group. We have an enhanced market potential. Our society is stable. We have system superiority. So we have a very robust foundation for further development.
During the 14th five-year period, we are entering the first 5 years of a new journey of achieving a modernized socialist country, and it is a new development stage. And we abide by the core principles of 3 nils and 1 high. That is, we are reaching a new development stage. We need to have a new development concept, and we also need to adopt the domestic circulation as the main state of development, complemented by domestic and international dual circulation, in order to drive high-quality development. This will be the theme of development. And based on the core principles of 3 nils and 1 high, we seek to basically achieve the socialist modernization by 2035. By that time, the GDP and per capita income of urban and rural residents will continue to scale new heights. There will be new types of industrialization, informatization, urbanization, and agricultural modernization. Per capita GDP will reach that of a moderately developed country, and people's aspiration for a better life will be achieved. The 14th five-year plan sets out the 6 new missions for the coming 5 years. In other words, there should be new results in economic development. There should be new studies in reform, or new steps in reform and opening up. There should be the level of civility in society scaling new heights. Ecological civilization construction should also make new gains. People's well-being should reach new levels, and there should be new gains in the effectiveness of national governments. On economic development, there are 3 indicators, including GDP growth, overall labor productivity growth, and urbanization rate of permanent resident population. It provides for the overall growth. We considered that domestically there are still uncertainties. So the GDP growth target should be proposed based on the annual conditions. The growth rate should not be a simplified growth rate, but in a reasonable range. And we should make sure that the speed of economic development is in line with the potential growth rate. As for overall labor productivity growth, it should exceed GDP growth, and that the urbanization rate of permanent resident population should be raised to 65%. On innovation drivers, there are 3 indicators: R&D expenditure, and high-value invention patents per 10,000 population, as well as added value of core digital economy industries. R&D expenditure should go above 7%, and we should strive for investment intensity to exceed the actual intensity during the 13th five-year plan. And the expenditure should exceed 3.7 trillion yuan. As for high-value inventions patients per 10,000 population in 2020, the number stood at 6.3. This should be increased to 12. And added value of core digital economy industries as a proportion of GDP now stands at 7.8. It should be increased to 10%. On people's well-being, there are 7 indicators covering disposable income, education, old age insurance, life expectancy. As far as average life expectancy is concerned, it should be raised by 1 year per 5 years. In other words, by 2025, it should be 78.5. On green ecology, there are 5 indicators: energy consumption intensity, carbon dioxide emission, and also forest cover rate and the proportion and the water quality. The reduction in energy consumption per unit of GDP should go down to 13.5%, and reduction of CO2 emission per unit of GDP should go down to 18%. There are also 2 indicators to providing security assurance. Second, in relation to the important missions in the 14th five-year plan, there are 17 parts in the 14th five-year plan explaining the strategic missions. There are also a series of important measures. I will just go through some salient ones. First, adhering to innovation-driven development and comprehensively fashioning new development. Innovation is the key to the development. So science and technology will be the country's development highlight. It will also be the strategy, so that we can build a technology powerhouse as soon as possible. The first point is to strengthen the nation's strategic science and technology power. Second, to improve the technological innovation capability of enterprises. Third, to stimulate the innovative vitality of talents. And fourth, refine the science and technology innovation institutions and mechanisms. We need to consolidate and optimize the technology resource allocation. So that there will be further development in innovative areas such as quantum information and micro and nano electronics. We'll also enhance the development of advanced technologies, such as major state-of-the-art technology projects. And we will also unrelentingly strengthen basic research by providing tax concessions so that the basic research funding as a proportion of R&D funding will go up to over 8%. In Beijing, Shanghai, and the Greater Bay Area, we will build major technological innovation platforms so that we can provide the requisites for innovation and technology development. We'll also incentivize enterprises to increase their investment in R&D. We will improve the intellectual property system. Second, accelerate the development of a modern industrial system and consolidate and strengthen the foundation of a real economy. We're going to strengthen the foundation of the real economy by incorporating innovation and improving manpower, and also improving the existing industries, so that we can build ourselves as the quality powerhouse and talent powerhouse, and also digital China. We need to build a modern infrastructural system. We need to expand the emerging industries and facilitate the prosperous development of the services industry, and also build a modernized infrastructural system, as well as constructing a digital economy and digital society in government. First of all, we need to accelerate the development of a modern industrial system and consolidate the foundation of a real economy. In other words, we need to make up for the shortcomings and strengthen the weaknesses by deepening the implementation of the manufacturing powerhouse. At the moment, we have a lot of shortcomings. Second, we need to continue to leverage on our strength, so as to develop the strategic emerging industries, such as the strategic industries like new energy and new materials. And we need to raise the added value of strategic emerging industries to more than 17%. We also need to expedite the building of digital China. This is the major trend of development. We build on the new advantages in the digital economy and to take forward digitalization-based development. And we do promote industrial digital transformations on areas such as smart transport and smart manufacturing, smart healthcare, so that we can make demonstrations and make good use of big data, Internet of Things, blockchain, AI, etc. At the same time, we'll also promote other digital services and applications in education and healthcare sectors, and build digital villages, so that we can form a digital society. Third point, forming a strong domestic market and building the new development pattern. There is a need to adopt the dual circulation strategy as the country's strategic development mission. We need to increase the middle income class, and by leveraging on the advantage, we can stimulate internal demand as the strategic basis and facilitate domestic and international circulation, so that we can have scale new heights. There are several main points. We need to facilitate domestic circulation. We need to promote domestic international dual circulation, and we need to accelerate the cultivation of a complete domestic demand system. In other words, we need to form a strong domestic market. We need to build a new development pattern by facilitating local consumption and improving elderly care and education, healthcare services. And we also need to expedite the development of a unified market in the country to stimulate domestic demand. Domestic international dual circulation is the new development pattern. We will continue to interact and connect with the global market. We're not going to close our doors. We will open up our doors. And the mainland economy will be in closer ties with the global economy, and the opportunities given to global markets will be even greater. And in terms of trade, we will promote coordinated development of imports and exports. We will expand the imports of high-quality goods, advanced technology, and energy resources. And we will also make a stronger effort in attracting foreign investment. And we'll also increase the level of two-way investment. We look forward to inviting more foreign investors to invest in mainland market via Hong Kong so that we can have joint development and achieve win-win. Point number 4, comprehensively deepen reform and build a high-level mechanism for an open economy. We are going to staunchly take forward the comprehensive deepening reform policy. In terms of deepening reform of the market, we will build effective markets and abide by the law in protecting the property rights of private enterprises and state-owned enterprises. And we will also establish a modern fiscal taxation financial system so that we have a first-class business environment with good market regulations and taxation measures. And we will continue to open up our economy in more depth and breadth. And we will strengthen the pre-access domestic treatment plus negative list. We will also open up businesses such as telecommunications, internet, education, culture, and healthcare. And in a steady manner, we will also open up the financial market. And we will also strengthen the alignment and linkage strategies and policies so that there will be mutual access and connectivity, and there will be a deeper trade relations. And the Belt and Road Initiative will provide trade and investment opportunities for many countries. And it will also be joining the different free trade agreements around the world. So that we will join hands with countries around the world to ensure open economy.
5, to promote coordinated development of urban and rural areas and to improve the overall development and layout. We will implement functional area strategy. There are 5 major strategies. As I've mentioned, the first one was the functional area strategy. The second one is the rejuvenation of villages. The third one is the strategy of new urbanization. And the fourth one is regional major strategy, including as coordinated development of the Greater Bay Area, the environmental protection of the Yangtze River. Through development, we will try to strike a balance. The sixth one is to promote green development and a harmonious existence between human and nature. We will promote the concept that a healthy natural environment is a valuable resource. We will promote a green economic development. We will strengthen environmental protection initiatives. We will also support green industries. We will work towards building a more beautiful China. We will implement the 2030 carbon emission action plan. We will try to be self-sufficient in relation to the use of energy. The seventh one is to improve people's well-being and livelihood and prosperity for all. We will plug all the loopholes. We will improve our systems. We will increase the gross enrollment rate of preschool education to 90%, and that of middle and high-level education over 92%. We will also formulate an action plan to achieve prosperity for all. We want to make sure that all the efforts are fair and the fruits are equally shared. Now I move on to the new opportunities for Hong Kong in the 14th Five-Year Plan. Hong Kong can continue to play an important role in our national development. The implementation of one country, two systems is important. This will also help Hong Kong and as well as our country to go further. We will have to strengthen Hong Kong's unique advantage. Hong Kong's status as an international financial, transportation and trade center should be maintained. But we have the second highest number of IPO, and we have also achieved a #1 position in a number of areas. There has been more and more cooperation with the mainland. The Hong Kong SAR will continue to get the support of the central authorities. There is a dedicated chapter for Hong Kong and Macau. And in chapters covering Greater Bay Area, there will be a series of policies put in place for Hong Kong. They will mostly cover two areas. First, to support Hong Kong to strengthen its advantage. In relation to long-term development, Hong Kong has faced a number of challenges. Unswerving support will be given to Hong Kong to continue to improve and expand. There will be support for Hong Kong to maintain its status as an international financial, transportation and trade centers. In terms of financial services, Hong Kong's position as a global offshore renminbi business hub, international asset management center, as well as a risk management center will be strengthened. There will be further expansion and strengthening of the financial market, mutual access. Competitive mainland prices will be given support to be listed in Hong Kong. Hong Kong will receive support to develop green finance. This will further consolidate Hong Kong's position as an international financial center. In relation to shipping, transportation and aviation, Hong Kong will get support in the construction of the third runway. There will be coordinated airspace management and control between Hong Kong, Guangdong and Macau. There will be support for Hong Kong to strengthen port infrastructure as building as well as connection. There will be further coordination measures put in place to strengthen Hong Kong's position as a trade center. Another area is Hong Kong as an international innovation and technology center. Hong Kong is in a very good position. It has a very rich pool of talent and resources. A number of aerospace projects has also seen Hong Kong's involvement. And in Chang'e 5, we saw the contribution of Hong Kong. We can see Hong Kong's advantage. Under the 14th Five-Year Plan, Hong Kong's development of the Shenzhen-Hong Kong Innovation and Technology Zone will be expedited. There will be more facilitation measures to enable talents and funds to come to Hong Kong, Macau, and Guangdong. We will also encourage a coordinated effort to develop innovation and technology. Hong Kong will one day become an important base for innovation and technology. Another area is development towards high-end and high-value adding direction. Hong Kong will receive support to establish itself as a center for international legal and dispute resolution services in the Asia-Pacific region. It will also develop itself into an intellectual property trading center, high-end shipping service center, cultural center, as well as a diversified tourism. Hong Kong's position as a city of creativity will be strengthened. There will be multi-destination journey. As I said, the diversification of tourism will be put in place so that Hong Kong will become a tourism hub. Hong Kong will receive support to integrate into national development. The implementation of the 14th Five-Year Plan needs Hong Kong's participation as well. There will be a lot more development opportunities. First is the Greater Bay Area. On the 1st of July 2017, President Xi Jinping witnessed the signing of the framework agreement on deepening Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau cooperation in the development of the Bay Area. The GBA will become a competitive and international standard city cluster. It plays a very important role. In the major strategy of the GBA, Hong Kong plays a vital role. Hong Kong, just like other cities, will take up its respective role under division of labor. There will be new areas for development. This will be conducive to a coordinated development in the area. Hong Kong and Macau enjoy a lot of advantages in infrastructure and level of research and development. We also have a very sound ecosystem in innovation and technology. We will encourage cooperation between Hong Kong, Macau, and Guangdong. We will improve the two corridors and two poles, the Hangqin, Qianhai innovation centers. We will further the Greater Bay Area Integrated National Science Center. In different areas, say for example, life science and economic development, there will be new achievement. There will be manufacturing innovation center, financial services innovation center. We will also improve the mutual market access and also alignment of rules. Difference in rules and regulations and also regulatory regimes have impeded further development. With the 14th Five-Year Plan, we will improve transportation network of the Greater Bay Area. We will enhance connectivity. There will be connection of hardware. Say, for example, port functions a network of railway linking the different areas in the Greater Bay Area. There is also a connectivity of a software, say, for example, in terms of rules and regulatory regime. We will facilitate flow of people, clearance facilitation, and investment facilitation. We will also expand the scope of mutual recognition of professional qualification. In construction, medicine, education, legal, accounting, and tourism, these 8 areas, there is a mutual recognition of professional qualification. So far, 2,000 Hong Kong and Macau professionals have obtained professional registration on the mainland. The next stage is to expand the scope in the Greater Bay Area. Hong Kong talents from Hong Kong and Macau will be given more opportunities to develop in the Greater Bay Area. There will be a common examination. Social work, tourism, qualification, mutual recognition will be put in place. This would enable talents to cross the border.
Third, we'll take on cooperation in improving people's livelihood, and we will build a quality living circle together. This is also the starting point of the Greater Bay Area development. Starting from this year, we've been actively formulating facilitation measures and fostering cooperation on different areas such as education, healthcare, etc. In Guangdong Province, Hong Kong job seekers are also included in their system. In terms of entrepreneurship, we have 3 entrepreneurial bases for youths from Hong Kong, supporting 698 projects with 8,800 personnel involved. And on education, children of Hong Kong residents can enjoy free pre-kindergarten education and other education facilitation measures. And for Hong Kong secondary students, 15,000 of them took part in the Mainland's university admission exam. We also have other facilitation measures to help Hong Kong people buy a property and live and work in the Greater Bay Area. We still need to foster greater cooperation on the front of education so that the children of Hong Kong residents can have more opportunities of receiving education in Greater Bay Area. We also need to build a corridor for vocational training and employment of young people. We need to foster closer collaboration in terms of healthcare and public health, as well as prevention of pollution. To encourage more Hong Kong residents to pursue a career or live in the Greater Bay Area, so that we build a world-class, beautiful Bay Area. We need to expedite the major cooperation platforms to deepen the cooperation between the 3 places. For example, for Qianhai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong Modern Services Industry Cooperation Zone, it provides good cooperation opportunities. During the 14th five-year period, we will continue to promote these cooperation platforms so that we can have joint high-level development. We will fully deepen the reform and opening up of the Qianhai-Shenzhen-Hong Kong Modern Services Industry Cooperation Zone, and also promote cooperation in Loop area and Nansha so that they can give full support to the economic development in Hong Kong. We will also expedite the construction of the Shenzhen-Hong Kong Technology Innovation Cooperation Zone so that R&D results can be fully commercialized to support innovation development. And resources relating to innovation technology in Hong Kong can be combined with the advantages in the PRD region. And we'll also steadily take forward the construction of a Nansha, Guangdong, Hong Kong Deep Cooperation Zone, so that for industries with advantages, they can also tap the GBA market to facilitate Hong Kong youth in seeking employment in the Greater Bay Area. These policies will be strengthened to provide development opportunities for Hong Kong-based enterprises in the Greater Bay Area. The NDRC at the moment is reviewing the 14th five-year plan and the Greater Bay Area Outline Development Plan in order to iron out the details of implementation. Second, to integrate into the country's dual circulation development plan and to grasp the major development opportunities. This is a major policy direction for the country's development during the 14th five-year period and beyond. And the prosperity and stability is a cornerstone to Hong Kong's success. Hong Kong can be an important participant to domestic circulation of the mainland. It can also be the important connector to the international circulation of the country. So it should actively participate and support the modernized economic development of the mainland to facilitate domestic circulation. Hong Kong has a mature market and a vast pool of talents. We have advanced services industry, and this is a major impetus to promoting domestic circulation of the country. Using Hong Kong and Greater Bay Area as a platform, we can help cultivate new growth points. For example, in terms of technology and innovation, in terms of basic research platform, the construction of platforms, talents, and commercialization of R&D results, there should be stronger collaboration. And Hong Kong should also actively take part in the important projects of the country so that we can preserve the advanced R&D manufacturing industries in the mainland. In terms of modern logistics and legal services, etc., Hong Kong has apparent advantages, and they can interact with the advanced manufacturing system in the PRD region so that we can build a good circulation. And we should also develop more fintech products. In terms of green transformation, we look forward to Hong Kong's development of low-carbon technology. Leveraging on Hong Kong's advantages, we hope that Hong Kong can actively participate in green energy, green industries, and smart city developments on the mainland, so that we can have an action plan to peak carbon dioxide emissions by 2030. Next, Hong Kong should be facilitated to the dual circulation strategy of the mainland. Hong Kong has an independent customs region. Hong Kong's status as an international financial, aviation and trade hub, it has apparent advantages. It is also an important connector or springboard for the mainland in tapping overseas markets. As we have more factors of production that are attractive to the world, there is all the more reason to facilitate a dual circulation strategy, and Hong Kong can play a unique role as a super connector. We need to synergize factors of production that are attractive to the world, so that Hong Kong can bring in foreign capital. And on the other hand, there should be collaboration to tap overseas market. According to the 14th five-year plan, there'll be support for Hong Kong to leverage on the Belt and Road Initiative as a platform, and this will help enhance the capability of Belt and Road Initiative, leveraging on Hong Kong's advantages in services industry such as legal services and financial services. We can also provide good resources such as intellectual property, etc., for mainland enterprises to go global. It also serves a good investment platform, so that we can join hands in tapping foreign overseas markets. At the same time, Hong Kong is an international center, and it is also an international aviation logistics hub. Hong Kong should continue to leverage on its advantages and contribute to the Belt and Road Initiative, and take part in the overseas infrastructure projects and provide the financing channel. Ladies and gentlemen, the 14th five-year plan, marking the development blueprint of the mainland, is cast. We hope that in terms of the new development layout, Hong Kong can give full play to its development potential and contribute to a country's development, so that in terms of building a modern socialist country, Hong Kong can make even greater contribution. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hu, for the very detailed presentation. Please take a seat. Now, I suppose after hearing from our guests, we now have a deeper understanding of the country's 14th five-year plan, including the unwavering support of the Central People's Government of Hong Kong, supporting Hong Kong to enhance its status as an international financial, transportation and trade center, and enhancing Hong Kong's status as a global offshore RMB business hub, international asset management center, risk management center, as well as supporting Hong Kong to establish a center for international legal and dispute resolution services in the APAC region, and supporting Hong Kong to promote service industries for high-end and high-value-added development. There is also support from the Central People's Government to develop an international innovation technology hub, as well as an international aviation hub. There will be two discussion sessions now. The first part relating to Hong Kong as an international financial center and an offshore renminbi business hub, and the second in relation to the construction of the International Innovation Technology Center. Now may I invite Mr. Zhao Cheng-jun, head of the Finance Research Institute of the People's Bank of China, to give a speech. Mr. Zhao.
Mrs. Carrie Lam, I am so nervous that the cat's got my tongue. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm here to talk to you about the areas in the 14th five-year plan involving financial services and the areas that are related to Hong Kong. About a year ago, around the same time at the beginning of September, I had a business trip to Dongguan. I was met with two pleasant surprises. I arrived at Baiyun Airport. There was There used to be no congestion, but this time it took me 2 hours because the road was clogged with heavy-duty vehicles for construction. I'm an economist. My preliminary analysis was that post-COVID-19, the economic development of Guangdong was very good. In the first half of the year, Guangdong GDP growth and fixed asset investment have registered brilliant figures. The other pleasant surprise was something told to me by my colleagues in Guangdong. In August, all foreign investment activities in GBA, over 52% of them are in renminbi. It was the largest settlement currency. I wonder why, after the pandemic, there was such good economic development. How come that in the Greater Bay Area, the percentage of a renminbi in cross-boundary economic investment activity has reached over 52%? I think there is a very good foundation. At a very early stage, Guangdong floated a brilliant idea. They have engaged in restructuring and upgrading. Industries and enterprises that no longer enjoy an advantage in Guangdong through upgrading and restructuring obtained new competitiveness. In the transformation, Hong Kong has played an important role. As Mr. Hu said, Hong Kong played the role as the bridge and a hub. For considerable amount, these transactions were done in renminbi. 2 years ago in August, when I was in Yunnan, I was having a negotiation with my counterpart in Laos. It's about financial cooperation between Laos and China. My counterpart in Laos was in the discussion, and there were also some colleagues from Guangdong. In Laos, there is a large-scale industrial park, but renminbi had to be first changed to American dollars. And then the Laos side had to change the US dollars into their own currency. A large amount of plants and machinery was procured from China. So a large amount of US dollars was changed into renminbi. There was a large inflow of capital. So when they receive US dollars, they have to change it back to renminbi. You can imagine the foreign exchange risk and the foreign exchange cost. I asked my Laos counterpart for a better solution. They said yes. They said that for a considerable amount of industries in Guangdong, they have engaged in upgrading and restructuring. They encourage enterprises to go global. On the other hand, they engage in more renminbi transactions, renminbi-denominated transactions. So when it comes to overseas investment, they attach an importance and priority on a local currency, renminbi. There is a lot of areas in the 14th five-year plan about financial services. I was saying that Hong Kong will become the risk management center, asset management center. What is an offshore renminbi business hub, international asset management center, and risk management center? Chinese enterprises in the dual circulation have to make adjustments, upgrade, go global. They have to improve overseas investments. In the process, we encourage enterprises to use renminbi. This is a good control on foreign exchange risk. Using the Laos example, Southeast Asian countries are our important trade counterparts, but they are not familiar with one another. Hong Kong has an important role to play in ASEAN countries to get them to understand our country better. They will provide important assistance to mainland enterprises to upgrade and to use renminbi. But looking from the perspective of overseas markets, why are they willing to hold renminbi? It's because they have to make payment. They need to make repayments. They have to make purchases. We call it renminbi deposit, and there is about 820 billion renminbi deposited in Hong Kong. You only put a small amount of your asset in deposit. A large share of it will be investment related. So another important incentive is to maintain its value, to protect return of investment. So it will be used in bonds, equities, securities. They want to achieve a higher rate of return. There are two types of cities offering high return of renminbi products. First, they open an account on the mainland and purchase a large amount of renminbi products. But you understand that it is very difficult to open an account and purchase bonds and securities. Because mainland China has their own systems, language. So foreigners are not familiar with our system. So more individuals and organizations and companies would like to make use of financial service centers where they're familiar with their rules and system to invest in renminbi. Hong Kong is an obvious choice. You offer favorable conditions to attract different economies to come to Hong Kong to purchase the product that suit their needs in renminbi. That's for investment purpose. The third one is if you hold renminbi assets, there is also volatility of foreign exchange rate, which may cost you money. Of course, they would like to hedge the risk. There is the foreign exchange transactions. Other markets can make use of Hong Kong where it's a place with familiar rules and systems. If they can make use of Hong Kong's financial markets, foreign exchange transactions, and reduce their foreign exchange risk, then that will be the primary objective of a risk management center. Global investors can conveniently hold high return renminbi products and at the same time manage their risk effectively. Does Hong Kong have the condition, favorable condition? The answer is yes. About $500 billion in swap with renminbi. Hong Kong accounts for 60% of offshore renminbi deposits. 70% SWIFT transaction volume. And there is also 70% of overseas clearance volume. And Hong Kong holds 80% of renminbi bond. And there is also on top of the 820 billion yuan renminbi deposit. So there is sufficient condition for Hong Kong to become a global asset management center, risk management center, as well as an offshore renminbi business center. Central authorities can't find another place like Hong Kong where they can provide the same support. In 2013, that was the first time when the RMB settlement bank, the Bank of China was the first renminbi settlement bank. There is sufficient liquidity. We have RTGS of renminbi, which is the real-time gross settlement. It is managed by the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. The volume in renminbi has actually exceeded Hong Kong dollars. And the Hong Kong MA is the only organization responsible for that. The central monetary, monetary units is a huge one. There are currently 7 direct participants. The Bank of China is one of them.
All these has led me to believe that Hong Kong can become the added value center, investment center, and asset management center of the renminbi. It provides a very good foundation. With this good foundation, if we can build a vibrant renminbi exchange and trading center in Hong Kong, then Hong Kong will be able to build a center that provides a fairer rate, that relates to the yield of investment returns, and also the exchange rate between renminbi and different currencies, including the US dollar. So with safeguards, with a good foundation, we can have a risk management center. With high quality exchange rate system, we can set up an offshore renminbi business hub. It's a comprehensive one. I think Chief Executive Mrs. Carrie Lam just said in her opening remarks, and I'm very impressed, that Hong Kong has this important gene of long-term prosperity and stability, leveraging on the mainland as the hinterland and facing the international markets. And this gene, I think, is the renminbi currency. This provides for the clear mission as an international financial center in the 14th five-year plan. So I urge the Hong Kong SL government and the monetary authority in Hong Kong to make arrangements and formulate policies to encourage market entities to participate in these areas, so as to implement the relevant support measures in the 14th five-year plan and for Hong Kong to fulfill its mission. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Zhou, for his enlightenment. Please take a seat. And may I welcome the Hong Kong delegates, Mr. Christopher Hui, Secretary for Financial Services in the Treasury, the Executive Council Convener, Mr. Bernard Chan, and also Mr. Joseph Yam, this Executive Council member.
Thank you,
Mr. Zhao, for your sharing. With the support of the Central People's Government and the ministries, Hong Kong has established itself as a global offshore renminbi business hub and international asset management center. We've made a very good start, and we've just received good news from the Central People's Government that Hong Kong will be allowed to launch A-shares offshore or A-shares futures of A-shares offshore. This is a new development and in terms of derivatives, and this also tallies with our position as a risk management center. Now, one highlight of the new development concept is that we need to facilitate dual circulation. And President Xi also proposed that we need to be watchful of the risk as we take on development, and so that we can have a sharing of the fruit of success for all. And in terms of the Global Offshore Renminbi Business Hub and International Asset Management Center, we have today Mr. Yam and Mr. Chan sharing their views with us. They will be putting questions to Mr. Zhou, and then we can have a fruitful exchange. Thank you. In the interest of time, I'll be brief, and thank you for allowing the Bank of China Hong Kong to be the first renminbi clearing bank in 2003. Article 39 in the 14th five-year plan provides that there should be free flow of renminbi, and on this basis there should be internationalization of renminbi. If we can allow free exchange of renminbi and free use of renminbi in Hong Kong, that means that renminbi should be used as the currency for transaction, clearing and settlement in Hong Kong. In fact, for 2 or 3 years, I've been making this suggestion to the SAR government. And what is your take on this? So let me take the question now. I think Mr. Yan made a very clear point. As far as the offshore market is concerned, outside the mainland, we take renminbi as an offshore currency. That means the currency is free of rules and regulations in the mainland. So it's a freely usable currency outside the mainland. However, of course, there should be compliance with the related rules and regulations in the place where it is used, such as in Hong Kong. We have clearing, settlement, trading, transactions all in renminbi according to the rules and regulations in Hong Kong. And that is the first point. Second point, any economic activity in Hong Kong, including transaction involving equity, bonds, denominated in renminbi. We're happy to see these products, such as securities, bonds, other forms of assets denominated in renminbi. As long as renminbi is adopted as the currency for these transactions, the PBOC will be happy to hear that. But we know that there are favorable conditions in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a free market. Hong Kong allows for transactions in different currencies. And that is why we need to improve the infrastructure for Hong Kong to be a global offshore renminbi business hub, and that entails different infrastructure for clearing, settlement, etc., and also custody. Secretary, noted, all right, about the different functions of renminbi. In fact, let me add to that. In Shanghai, we have B shares denominated in non-renminbi currency and traded in non-renminbi currency. That happens in Shanghai, too. I am not suggesting that renminbi should replace Hong Kong dollar as a currency for pricing, clearing and settlement, because we allow investors to buy and sell in renminbi. There are 50 or 60 constituents in the Hang Seng Index. And if we allow renminbi to be used, that means there will be more renminbi-denominated products. This is also where we're heading. That is to allow more renminbi-denominated products to be included in the index. Mr. Chan, Mr. Zhou, you referred to ASEAN in your speech. I fully agree that Hong Kong has fostered a great partnership with ASEAN countries for decades. And I agree that Hong Kong can be the best connector for helping mainland enterprises go global. We have now, what about the financial industry in Hong Kong? How can we support the country's development? Because for insurance sector, we also help mainland enterprises go global, and we also help with hedging risks. So when you mention ASEAN just now, I think this is a platform that Hong Kong can leverage on. But in terms of risk management, how can we better cooperate with the mainland? Well, I understand what you mean. In other words, I hope that you support our industry in Hong Kong. In terms of risk management, I think I've just explained that for major market entities, there may be uncertainties in the business environment leading to risk to their business that should be controlled. But I think at a macro level, we need to control, credit risk and fluctuations in the foreign exchange market. For example, if we are to control exchange rate risk, we need to adopt different currency or exchange rate tools and manage the risk due to mismatch. For example, the tools relating to the spread between two currencies. And on this front, I'm sure that financial institutions' capabilities on the mainland are not faring as well as those advised in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is a major player in the international arena. Hong Kong has a mature market. So in terms of risk management, I think this is the major mission for Hong Kong, especially in terms of renminbi business. Because there may be foreign exchange risk arising from different investments. There may be derivatives. Now, in terms of insurance, yes, it is very important, especially it can help mainland enterprises in managing risk due to uncertainties in conducting businesses outside the mainland due to accidents, natural disasters, etc. So as far as services are concerned, there are different elements. Now, in terms of cross-border payments and the consumption outside the territory, there isn't much coverage because of uncertainties in the outside business environment. So for the insurance industry, I think that Hong Kong should leverage on its advantages in the diversity of insurance products and actuaries. The other important point is that the monetary authorities of the two places should collaborate.
I hope that when our country goes global, they will first purchase these services in Hong Kong. Just now, Mr. Chen talked about risk. Hong Kong has an advantage in the different risk management proposals, and there are also risks related to the environment. Say, for example, Belt and Road initiatives. Time's tight. I think Mr. Yam has a number of questions to ask. Let me give him another chance to ask questions. Section 14 talks about enhancing the domestic circulation. It says very clearly that barriers in manufacturing industry obstructing the flow of factors of production should be removed. What does it mean? Under one country, two systems, there are two financial systems. There is little capital flow between these two systems. We have made proposals, say, for example, Wealth Management Connect, the Shanghai Stock Connect, the Shenzhen Stock Connect. But still, we would like the gate to be open more. We need free flow of capital. Hong Kong should be allowed to participate in the domestic circulation. I know that there are risks. All we need is just proper risk management. What is your take? Capital is an important factor of production. How can you enable its flow between the two financial markets? How much time do I have to answer this question? As much as you like. Mr. Yam has raised a very good point. It's related to operation. It's about the free flow of capital between two places. There are still some barriers. the extent of opening up of investment accounts are very different between the two places. There is no free exchange. Mainland China is vast in size. So we have to be cautious when it comes to allowing any progress of free flow of capital. Hong Kong is free. There is free flow of capital. If there is no barrier between Hong Kong and Mainland, that means the capital market on the Mainland is completely opened. As I said, because of the difference of level of opening up of capital accounts of the two places, there are some restrictions. But still, there are channels. We have these Bond Connect, we have the Stock Connect, we have Wealth Management Connect. These are technical arrangements. A large volume of overseas capital can make use of these channels to enter Mainland China. This is not just about capital in the Hong Kong market. It's about capital in global market as well. There is the southbound Stock Connect. I think implementation may be expedited. These channels are effective. They are carefully crafted. They are in line with international conventions. Now, we have a very high return in terms of our bonds. For 10-year tenure, the yield is over 8%. In the U.S., the yield is just 1%. So there is a huge difference. A lot of foreign entities would like to buy these bonds in Mainland China. When it comes to liberalization of the financial market, that is our ultimate objective. That is our objective, the free flow of factors of production. We, of course, hope that this day will come early. Thank you. Thank you for this wise exchange. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Hui, and the valuable input of our guests. Please be seated. I believe that from the previous interaction and exchange, you understand that the 14th five-year plan will provide a lot of opportunities, and there are many ways that Hong Kong can make contributions to the national development. We will make good use of the opportunities given to us. Hong Kong can better integrate into national development. I now ask the Deputy Head of Commercial Application and Regional Innovation, Mr. Huang Liuquan, to give us a presentation. Mr. Huang, please. Mrs. Carrie Lam, Mr. Law, Mr. Huang, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm very happy to come to Hong Kong. I know that time is tight, but I want to enable Hong Kong people to get a better understanding of the 14th five-year plan, as well as the opportunities of Hong Kong. I will make use of my PowerPoint presentation. Under the leadership of President Xi Jinping, we have made great achievements in national development. According to the Global Innovation Index announced by WIPO, we have increased we have risen to the 30th in 2020. We have risen from 29 in 2015 to number 14 in 2020. This shows that this is because we have increased our R&D spending. In 2019, the number of practitioners has increased from the amount of spending in R&D has increased to 2.44 trillion. We have also made achievement in a number of areas in science. And we have also achieved significant achievements in the 3 innovation centers. There is one in Beijing, there is another one in Shanghai, and the third one is in the Greater Bay Area. Let me give you some figures. In 2020, in the Index of Global Innovation, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou achieved the second one in the world as a cluster, just behind Tokyo Bay and Yokohama. There are 169 enterprises. We have achieved over $12.9 trillion, and there are 223,000 enterprises. We have achieved a total volume of over 9 trillion. This has in turn expedited the advancement in different economic areas, say for example digital platform and electronic commerce. And in relation to our fight against COVID-19, technology has played an important role. Say, for example, in the development of vaccine, treatment, as well as the tracing of the source of the virus. We have sent a large number of people to promote the use of new technology. This has in turn furthered the opening up and development of science. We have worked together with different institutions along the Belt and Road countries to work on various areas, say for example climate change, clean energy, and life, as well as health. We have also achieved significant improvement. Just now, Mr. Hu mentioned that under the 14th five-year plan, there are also the long-range objectives through the year 2035. We have to tackle public health, improve our innovation system. By 2035, we will become one of the advanced economies in innovation and technology. There are also 5 areas, and I will quickly go through them. First is to enhance our strategic scientific prowess. Well, the Regional Technology Innovation Center should be given support. There should be regional cooperation. There needs to be exemplary areas put in place as well. The status of National Technology and Innovation Center should be enhanced. The third area is to support enterprise innovation. There is an important area. The tax deductions in R&D spending by enterprises is an important area. There should be cooperation with tertiary education institutes. We also need to support high-tech enterprises and support research and development. Before they start there needs to be a pool of high-tech talents. Favorable policies should be put in place to attract overseas talents to come to Hong Kong. These can be in terms of children education, social security, remuneration, etc., to attract them to come to China to work. Property ownership of entrepreneurs should be protected. We also need to enhance the innovation system. There should be vigorous intellectual property protection. There should be improvement in the protection regime. There should be infringement. There should be a punitive compensation against infringement. The sixth area is to enhance international cooperation. We have to be more inclusive. We have to be more receptive towards international cooperation. We have to enhance our capability to fight against the epidemic. We have to work with other countries to tackle climate change. We have to embark upon major scientific projects. We have to put in place funds for research and development. Hong Kong is an important part. A lot of importance is attached to Hong Kong in this area.
We support Hong Kong's R&D development, and we support Hong Kong to establish an international innovation technology center. In May 2004, the agreement of the establishment of the Hong Kong and Mainland Science Technology Cooperation Committee was signed, and in 2017, upon advice by President Xi, arrangements were made in place to allow the cross-boundary remittance of central funding to Hong Kong, together with other tax concession measures. In 2018, Mr. Huang Liuquan of the Ministry of Science and Technology signed the arrangement with Mrs. Carrie Lam, which is the arrangement on enhancing innovation technology cooperation between the mainland and Hong Kong to provide the long-term support and arrangement. Under the framework of the 14th Five-Year Plan, the MOSD will continue to support Hong Kong's participation in innovation-driven projects in the mainland, such as co-development of the Greater Bay Area. There is, for example, key support for building the platform in the Greater Bay Area to allow high-level participation of R&D institutions from Hong Kong, and to help construct the national innovation technology centers so that Hong Kong can also participate in the construction of national science centers. There will also be collaborative efforts in building an R&D base in the Greater Bay Area. Second, they will further open up to mainland to allow Hong Kong to participate in R&D projects in the Greater Bay Area, such as the key projects in Technology Innovation 2030. Hong Kong will be a pilot. We'll continue to incorporate talents from Hong Kong into the National Tech Talents database. Third, we also support Hong Kong in the Belt and Road related projects. And we also support Hong Kong in organizing innovation technology forums with international influence. There will also be support for Hong Kong's participation in big science projects. We also support young people in Hong Kong to start the business in the Greater Bay Area. And for organizations to organize tours to the innovation zones of the country and other exchange programs. To expedite the grooming of young talents in I&T industry in Hong Kong. The Central People's Government attaches great importance to this briefing session. I, along with my colleagues, have been deployed to explain the plan to Hong Kong, and we hope to receive your feedback. This will be brought back to the central authorities relating to innovation technology. Finally, may I wish the prosperous development of the I&T sector and success of Hong Kong's future. Thank you, Mr. Wang. Please take a seat on the stage. And may I now invite other guests to come onto the stage. Mr. Li Xiao, from Deputy Director of China Science and Technology Exchange Center of the Ministry of Science and Technology. Mr. Alfred Sid, Secretary for Innovation Technology. Professor Huang Liuquan, Chairman of the Research Grants Council. Professor Zhang Xiang, Vice Chancellor of the Hong Kong University. And Professor Nancy Ip of the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Please take a seat. Secretary Mr. Sid, please chair this session. Thank you, Mr. Wang, for the excellent speech. And I'd also like to thank Professor Wang, Professor Zhang, and Professor Ip for your participation, and to exchange views on the construction of an international innovation technology center in Hong Kong. There will be a deepening of cooperation with the mainland on innovation technology developments, and for the first time, we will form one of the 4 major cooperation platforms in the Greater Bay Area. This shows the Central People's Government's support for Hong Kong. Greater Bay Area is the best platform for Hong Kong to better integrate into the overall development plan of the country. This is the golden opportunity for us. The Hong Kong SAR government will be making an all-out effort to promote I&T development, especially in enhancing exchange and cooperation with cities in the Greater Bay Area, so that we can build a world-class international innovation technology center. So in the interest of time, let me first invite Professor Wang to share your observation. Thank you, Mr. Wang, for explaining the CPG's support for Hong Kong. Now I feel touched. I have some questions. On the 26th of February, Mr. Wang, the Minister of Science and Technology, explained the cooperation between the mainland and Hong Kong in a briefing session. He's concerned about the results and for technology projects. It is hoped that Hong Kong can take the lead with funding support from the Central People's Government. I think this is a very good idea. In March this year, at the National People's Congress, as deputy, I also made some comments. The country's development plan is focused on innovation. So we have some excellent research and technology professionals in Hong Kong. I wonder if we can also help lead the development so that scientists and talents in Hong Kong can also join the team in these national projects. Now, after what Mr. Wang said, I wonder if there are new developments. Thank you. To answer Professor Wang's question, it reflects the I&T sector's aspiration in fostering closer cooperation with the mainland. Now, as far as the ministry is concerned, this is an ongoing initiative for years. In 2017, Presidency made an important speech regarding Hong Kong's affairs. The talents and research personnel in Hong Kong will form an important driver to innovation and technology development of the country. And that is why in Hong Kong, the International I&T Center will be built. In fact, this is the mission, that is to establish Hong Kong as an international I&T center. I understand that there was a full exchange of views at the time, and I would say that the central authorities have been providing a lot of funding support. However, the problem is that the central funding could not be remitted across the boundary to Hong Kong. In fact, after Presidency's advice, the PBOC, the customs and different authorities put their heads together, and just within a month, we allowed the first remittance of central funding across the boundary to Hong Kong. It's over $200 million of funding reached the research institutions in Hong Kong. This is how the CPG is providing staunch support to Hong Kong. We have some key R&D projects in the 13th five-year project and other projects that were open to Hong Kong as well. And in fact, research professionals, experts participated in 14 of these state projects. So this is our ongoing effort to help Hong Kong establish itself as an international I&T center. That is to build a platform for the country. We have 16 key state laboratories and other facilities at the state level in Hong Kong. So I would say that Hong Kong only trails behind Beijing, among other mainland cities. So in formulating research projects, the first point is to consider in terms of research qualifications, we will immediately come to mind experts in Hong Kong. That shows that we've continued to open up projects. Thank you. With the support of the CPG and the Ministry of Science and Technology and other units, we have made a lot of progress, and I'm grateful. Next, Professor Ip. Thank you. I think we all agree that in implementing the 14th five-year plan, much emphasis is placed on the development of the Greater Bay Area, and that it is an important development opportunity for Hong Kong. I'm a scientist in Hong Kong, and we keenly look forward to the taking up of science and technology projects in the mainland by Hong Kong. And just now you made a point, and that is there should be further opening up for scientists in Hong Kong to take up important state-level science projects. My question is that apart from this, are there any new policies from the ministry to allow Hong Kong scientists to more proactively take part in the R&D projects in our country so that we can contribute to our country? For example, in terms of building a platform for key state laboratories, we can expand the scope and strengthen the effort of opening up, including Int'l 2030. This is an important project. The other point is, I wonder if there are new policies to encourage a collaboration between mainland and Hong Kong scientists in major research platforms and projects, research projects. Thank you, Mr. Lee. In further promoting collaboration between mainland and Hong Kong R&D sector, the idea is innovation is a shared goal. What we do seeks to enhance the innovation capability of Hong Kong. Second is opening up. By opening up, we mean, on the one hand, for the state's R&D mission, we need to allow Hong Kong's greater degree of participation so that there will be more opportunity for Hong Kong personnel to take part in innovation-driven projects. On the other hand, we also need to work with Hong Kong in terms of international R&D projects, and Hong Kong certainly has a role to play because we have a good global network. We have talents from around the world and other institutional advantages. This will help internationalize the R&D results because of Hong Kong's advantages. So in terms of international projects, Hong Kong can play a more important role.
The third important area is cooperation. When everything is connected, we need to understand what the key development area is of our nation. Then we work towards it. We dovetail our efforts to achieve this objective. So it's not just about the R&D facilities in Hong Kong. It applies to the R&D facilities on the mainland as well. If there is good development of our country, then it's also good for Hong Kong. We try to achieve it step by step. We start from cooperation between the R&D institutions. Of course, we would like to enhance cooperation with R&D institutes on the mainland. Next, I will ask Professor Zhang to ask questions. We talk about dual circulation, making contribution to our country. We need circulation of capital and people. I think that there is still a lot of road to cover to achieve complete innovation. Talent is very important. Silicon Valley is successful because they have attracted the best from different countries to go there. Hong Kong is very internationalized. Hong Kong has an internationalized pool of talent. We can play into that. We have good management of R&D. There is proper management of R&D funds. need to provide a favorable environment for elite scientists to focus on their work. Just now, my two colleagues talk about more support from the central authorities. Hong Kong scientists should also help our nation to solve problems, to give them what they need. But sometimes we need tools, we need capital. We are very happy to receive funds from the mainland, but it's only a drizzle. We need to create a favorable environment for overseas elites to come to Hong Kong. Because Hong Kong is a preferred city for English-speaking or non-Chinese-speaking scientists. I've been talking to my mainland colleagues. They think Hong Kong is outside China, but I think it's part of China. It's part of China. It's within China. In the past 2 or 3 years, well, there is actually a large volume of cross-boundary remittance of R&D funds, so it's not just a drizzle. There are 3 experts talking about innovation with us, apart from capital. If Hong Kong is turned into a high-level R&D platform, it will be great. In 2007, an idea was floated. Hong Kong should be supported to become an innovation center. An international innovation center should have the best researchers. There should be originality in their work. It should enjoy high quality companies. It should be able to commercialize R&D projects. Using innovation, industries can be enhanced. It should also become a focal point of talents as well as and capital. Venture funds would be attracted. You need the favorable conditions. We have talked about Tokyo Bay as well as Silicon Valley. They have these favorable conditions. Hong Kong has a good foundation. We have prestigious universities with good R&D capabilities. But how can we expedite the establishment of an international innovation center? In February this year, it's mentioned that to establish an international innovation center, Hong Kong will be more attractive to top-notch scientists. It is a strategic position. The Ministry of Science and Technology will enhance cooperation with the Hong Kong SAR. Technology, capital, and talents can be drawn to Hong Kong. We also aim to promote Hong Kong's petition in pilot areas or demonstration areas in different areas. We hope that commercial application can be expedited so that we can share the fruit of our innovation efforts. We also would like to enhance the flow of factors of production. Hong Kong can leverage on the GBA to establish the International Innovation Center. For other international innovation centers, they exist in the form of a city cluster. If Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Hong Kong can work together to become an innovation cluster, it will be great because it has already achieved second place in its innovation. We need to create synergy. We need to coordinate our efforts and work together. So we hope to expedite the establishment. Maybe we'll talk how we can work with the Innovation and Technology Bureau to support the establishment of the International Innovation Center. We'll work our best to make it happen. Thank you. We have to play our supplementary role and work with other cities in the Greater Bay Area so that we can establish the International Innovation Center. Thank you, everyone, for sharing with us your views. Time's limited. We have heard a lot of valuable views. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the exchange of our guests. Please be seated. This is the end of our briefing session. I'll invite the Chief Executive to make a concluding remark. Guests and colleagues, this morning's briefing session is indeed very enlightening. Time flies. This is the end of the 2.5-hour briefing session. We have heard the contents of the 14th five-year plan, the Chinese Communist Party. We're moved by the philosophy. So in the implementation of the various policies and the integration of national development, I hope that we will bear in mind that we are here to serve the people. And we trust the one country, two systems. Mr. Law has made a brief opening remark. I'm sure that he has conveyed a message from the central authorities to us how we should deal with different issues. We bear that in mind. Well, if we do not move forward, we will lag behind. That's what we expect from you. Whenever the chief executive asks you for suggestions to improve governance, you should give us your suggestions swiftly and effectively. We have we have officials from the NDRC as well as the People's Bank of China. Just like Mr. Li, I'm sure that you have Hong Kong in your mind. Apart from the areas I've covered in the 14th five-year plan, I'm sure that ministries and commissions of the central authorities are happy to give Hong Kong the support. We need people to implement these brilliant plans. We are the first to take up the responsibility to carry out our responsibility. Our electoral system has been improved. So, we are back on the right track. We have the responsibility to make contributions to the mainland, and the chief executive is the first responsibility bearer. I see that you have shown us your faith and your commitment to serve people. Once again, I thank Mr. Luo and the Deputy Director of the Liaison Office, as well as members of the delegation. Thank you. Chief Executive, please accompany Mr. Huang and Mr. Luo to leave the venue.
今天的宣讲会到。